Looks like we got a new friend!
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Reliant. Its continuing mission? To seek out new worlds, to defend all life and all civilizations, to boldly dare where no family has dared before.
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. It is Star Trek Day, so I'm really excited. A quick few things first. In chat, you all are about to see loads and loads of links for like Discord, etc. Please go check them out. And also, this stream is brought to you by Bird in the Storm and also Mage Hand Press. You can see their links below. We wouldn't be able to be doing this, but they make it possible. Other than that, Donations wise, we have Q packs. What was it? Q-tips. That's what we said. We have Q-tips every time we get retweets, 10 retweets and 4 followers. So other than that, I'm going to hand over to Greg. I'm not making much sense because I'm scared of Borg. So yeah, there you go, Greg.
It's a legitimate fear, Alice. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be back on the Academy. Today is a great big day. Rock donated last week for us to experience the Borg. And now, in all of their horrific grandeur, the crew of the USS Reliant, NCC 1864B, is face to face with perhaps, at the time, the Federation's greatest threat. Not only are they facing the Borg, they are facing the Borg at the site of, at that point again, the Federation's greatest space defeat, Wolf 359. Now, a couple things that I discussed with the crew before we get started. While there is a prime directive in play at all times for the Federation and for Starfleet, for Starfleet, there is also a temporal prime directive that is in play. And because of the increasing frequency of time travel, both forward and back in particular lines, when these reports come back to Starfleet, they enacted the temporal prime directive. It simply states that if you experience time travel, you are to treat everything much like the butterfly effect. Do not interact. Do not report on what you see. Do not take actions that would pollute, dilute, or change the timeline. Because even if it could be deemed to be good in the moment, it could potentially have long-term negative effects. Of course, that's all a matter of perspective. What might be great for the Federation could be poor for the Romulan Star Empire and vice versa. But in this particular moment, the temporal prime directive is very, very apparent in the minds of all of our players. But to go forward, we have to go back briefly, and I mean briefly. The crew was on a planet going through a sort of hard, old school detective work as they tried to find out on a pre-warp planet a Federation scientist had died. And when they began to uncover more and more clues in this mystery, the mystery doubled back upon itself, and several of the away team began to suspect that this had something to do with what they had encountered on Carina 7. Tachyons, a missing Starfleet badge. Several things began to click into place. And at the end of our last episode, as everybody returned to the scene of this gravity well event, there were several humans, very alien in the culture in which they were walking around and trying to pass undetected at the site of the gravity well. When Nat superheroed in 3-point landing, someone with the eyes of the Romulan Datak activated a device. There was a flash of white. The crew, looking as they normally do, back on the USS Reliant, they were facing a Borg cube. The coordinates, Wolf 359. And as the past hits the now, I have to ask the crew, and of course, Captain Hugh Jackman Yates, what will you do? Yates, to position him, we have a Mott. They're in their chair behind the con, behind navigation. We have Takora at the science station. We have Nat at the tactical station, and we have the doctor teased down in medical. So with Yates on the bridge, he steps forward just as Locutus comes through and delivers his, "I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. You will disarm your weapons and escort us to Sector 001. If you attempt to intervene, we will destroy you." And as the majority of the fleet spreads out around you, you are out of time and out of place. And as Yates moves forward, he almost dominates the screen as he steps in front of Amat station. And he turns and you see his eyes look at each one of you. I need to know what's going on right now, and what would you all like to add, do, or narrative? How would you like to narratively position your players before we start?
I'd like to call on my child, Amat.
Just like for me to understand, like obviously I know who the good guys and bad guys are, but like between Captain Yates and between this Borg guy, which one is more smoochable?
I'm gonna go with Captain Yates' personal preference.
Oh yeah, okay. But like, give me a screen capture.
It's Pat Stewart is the voice here, which I know it's a tough one for me. But then of course we have face cast Hugh Jackman as Captain Yates, except the kind of a big long word bound. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, smooching. Okay, I'm gonna side with Yates on this one. But next time, Amat is just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. They skipped this class, so they're just like, ah!
Nat did not skip this class. She excelled in this class. And question, do we remember where we just were and what just happened?
You remember absolutely everything.
Okay.
You have complete recall of the events up until when you landed, and you remember the device being activated by the Detalk character. And now you're not sure when the memories of Yates and everybody else kind of ended, but they all seem very confused when they're looking around. But this is a Starfleet vessel, and with that moment of confusion, people that are at their normal stations, environmental, you see them just kind of spin back to their stations after a look of like, where the hell? Okay, and they just dive back into their task.
Was it only Nat that saw the thing wearing Detox's eyes and him setting off this device? Was it only Nat who saw that?
It was,
okay.
Yes.
She's looking around for him is probably the first thing she's doing, because she was just in front of him. So you see her looking definitely less focused than she would be at her station.
Okay. If you want to actually look around, and are you like identifying bridge crew to see if you can identify the eyes?
Checking everybody.
Okay, go ahead and give me a let's do a reason, and let's do a medicine, because or medicine or science. I'll take either, as you're trying to look for like a specific feature.
Okay. Reason and medicine. I think observation applies here for focus.
Yes, absolutely.
1 success.
Just with a look around, you see that everybody seems to be behaving correctly. You see them down, and when they look up, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary. For instance, there's not somebody that's kind of like, why am I sitting here? I'm not sure how to use this console. Everyone seems to fall into task. And when they kind of look up and glance at Yates, and many of them glance at you at tactical, you don't see any foreign eyes or anything that's like a gaze that doesn't fit the Reliant.
Captain, we're not supposed to be here.
No, we're not. 11,000, Nat. He points behind him, and you see the view screen dominated by this cube. 11,000 people die in the next couple moments. We can stop that.
Sir?
Captain, I believe you are forgetting about the temporal prime directive. We cannot be here, nor can we...
11,000!
A regrettable number, Captain. But what has happened has happened.
We'll do more harm than good if we interfere, if they notice us.
even as far as sick bay, there is incredible conflict coming off of Yates. So both of my betazoids can feel it.
T, as much as she stood there for a moment just looking around like she's now there with no one. Okay, this is weird, this is weird, this is weird. And very much like she did when the Romulans attacked, is going to effectively look over the ship and try and read the life signatures on this ship. She wants to make sure everyone's who she thinks they are.
So you're doing just like a blanket scan to see
yeah,
signatures pop up the correct way? All right. The doctor is just performing normal scans and readouts. The doctor can assist if you would like him to do so as well, but he has remained activated. It's kind of customary on the Reliant to have, Dr. H up at all times. Before we go any further with this particular moment, Amat,
Yes.
in your mind, privy a conversation of two inside the skull of one, you hear a very formidable foe.
Oh, thank goodness you're still here.
I am here.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I believe that it is time for a more direct assistance. May I? And you feel your hand kind of independently move a bit.
Ooh. Amat's thinking about this because obviously they're privy to this conversation with the captain and Nat and Takora, and it's like, I don't want to be a liar. I already said that I wasn't going to go back in time and change things, but like we're already kind of back in time, and 11,000 is a super big number. What are you going to do?
I will not do anything to interfere with the temporal prime directive that your captain and your science officer are speaking of, but I need to help, and this is how I can help.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Yeah, let's do it.
Your hand begins to fly over the console, just pulling up screens upon the universal template, drawing things down.
Ooh.
About 30 seconds later, maybe 45, the doctor begins to move over to the DNA laboratory that you have set up in medical and begins to operate several of the devices there. You see that there is a sample inserted. No need for a roll as he begins to do something in your medical bay.
And I think T as well, picking up this feeling from the captain all the way down in like the medical bay. She's just gonna sprint up towards where that is coming from because she doesn't know why that feeling's going on, but it's a big old feeling.
Right. And so let's cut back to that moment as several of those things happened over the 30 seconds of initial conversation between Nat and Takora and Captain Yates. And that conflict is raging behind his eyes. And for a moment, the broad shoulders slump just a bit, silhouetted with the cube behind him on the view screen. She's still out there. She's right out there.
Of whom are you speaking, Captain?
You would all know that your former first officer served in the Battle of Wolf 359.
I suppose Takora wouldn't.
And she'll make it out, just like she did.
It would be folly to attempt any interference, Captain. You know this.
Story of this. Amat, pull us back. And he walks back towards his chair.
Yes, sir, Captain, sir. Trying to like make it look like this console nonsense is on purpose and like they have some idea of what they're doing. Just gonna pull this lever thing. Da da da. Yeah. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay. As you're able to pull that back, and the Reliant drifts back as the rest of the fleet, led by Admiral Hansen, go into Wolf 359. You witness the very beginnings of this battle as several of the craft, the Melbourne especially, an Excelsior class craft, goes in, and you see its entire dome, its entire upper levels vaporized as it is immediately compromised, and moments later it explodes from secondary fire and explosions. And as the doomed fleet rushes forward, you see Yates as he turns and forces himself to look at what's going on. And you feel just guilt and rage. And a moment later, a voice cracks over the general comm of the entire ship. And T, we're going to say as you run up, you slide into the area just as this hits. And it is again the sound of this locutus. You are not supposed to be here. Who are you?
Captain, I do not advise that we interact with Locutus of Borg.
Captain Yates of the USS Reliant. And no, we are not supposed to be here. But neither are you. The emotional conflict is gone. You see and feel determination floating off of Yates.
Like, T is reaching out to Nat so that she doesn't just say, what is going on?
Can I try and... I mean, I don't think we had hailing frequencies open, but Nat's going to check and see if she can close them, if they are open.
Absolutely. Go right ahead, and you can use the Reliance. Pull up the Reliance, and from you, I am going to need, this is a control, and it's going to be, let's do engineering. Control and engineering, and you can be assisted by the Reliance, let's see, comms and engineering.
Okay. Oy. One for me, and then the Reliant. Comms and engineering. 1, so total of 2.
Okay. You're able to see that hailing frequencies are indeed wide open. It was not initiated by the Reliant. It seems that whoever this Locutus was able to override through the shields that are raised. And the frequencies are open, so the response from Yates was heard. You believe you could turn them off, but again, this doesn't look like a way to lock the door.
Yeah, I'm going to turn them off, just instinctively.
You're able to silence them as Yates turns around and he addresses you directly, Nat, when he says, "Give me an approach to that cube."
Just to, very quickly, Greg, am I mistaken in thinking that the Defiant class ship wasn't made until after this battle?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It was a direct result of the Borg incursion and Wolf 359.
We have weapon systems to fight them. That should
it was
not
made
be.
specifically to fight the Borg.
But other Starfleet vessels can see us. A ship that does not exist yet.
Correct.
Come again, sir?
I need a course into the cube. I want to move to attack.
Your actions would be in direct violation of the temporal prime directive.
We can stop this. No one else can.
Respectfully, you are emotionally involved with this situation.
You can say that again.
You are not thinking logically.
I would like everybody on the bridge to roll me a reason and to roll me a security, please. So, with those rolls, it is Amat and it is T who notice the following. As the battle is raging now in the distance, as Amat has pulled the Reliant back, you see away from this pretty localized space battle around this 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer cube, a second object seems to be traveling and arcing around. As it just passes by the naked eye through the view screen, you see a sphere moving of Borg design. This, as it seems to be skirting the battle entirely. But only Amat and only T see this.
Amat is watching like slack-jawed, like, huh.
And
Amat has no idea if this is a thing that's supposed to be there because they missed this history class.
T sort of steps forward again, hands behind her back. Just to point out, I'm sure you've already all seen it, but we seem to have another problem. A ship or sphere or something of Borg design, and she sort of gestures out there.
Yates spins, and just as it leaves the view screen, he sees it too. And he turns towards Nat and Takura and T. Wolf 359, was there any report of a second Borg vessel?
It was not.
No.
Then we won't be disobeying the Prime Directive. Engage that. And he points towards the sphere.
Yes, sir.
So Amat, you now, you saw this thing, and it is creeping around the outskirts like it's trying to get away, but as soon as you sit down to kind of lock onto it, you can't pick it up on sensors.
Uh-oh. A model. It's not showing up on sensors.
Follow with your eye, then?
Cool. That was TK,
Why?
not Amat. That was, Amat's like, okay.
But why would we not be able to pick this up on sensors? A sphere that was not present at Wolf 359? Will everyone use their brains for a
Because it's not from this time they've adapted in the future, maybe.
That is one possibility. Or it's not there at all. Maybe we aren't here at all. If I do recall, that interloper Q could do quite a few things to make us believe or see things. How do we know we are truly here? Were we not only moments ago on a different planet?
I saw it to talk. That's relevant.
You saw the talk.
Yep.
At this point, Yates moves up and puts his hand on the back of Amat's chair like he normally does and directs them. Amat, spin around. I want us to speak where it was.
Like, just like full.
Yeah. As soon as you Federation drift the Reliant around, as soon as it pulls up, you see a sphere going by. Again, nothing appearing on sensors. But there it is, and it's cruising around. But you can visually approach, and you can visually move to intercept. It's going to increase all DC that you do against it by 1, simply because the Reliant's not going to be able to see it. But you can visually see it. And as soon as everyone gets an eyeful, Yates points, go.
Okay.
Yes.
Not great. Not a good driver.
Okay, well, in this moment, everything's looking good. So, yes, Lauren?
As we're moving and getting ready to engage, Nat's going to speak to Takora. He had some kind of device down on the planet. He was disguised. He looked human, but he wasn't. He was in the room with the gravity well.
Did he do anything? Say anything?
Yes, he activated some kind of device, and here we are. But we were nowhere near the Reliant.
That we were not. But never have we been particularly close to this point in time. It would seem that currently anything is possible. The appearance of Q, seeing Detok once again. The things that Q showed us. These are undoubtedly connected.
I agree.
And I do not think we should be engaging. Instead, we need to work out how to return to the correct timeline.
What if by being here, by us being seen by the original cube, it's already changed?
It is possible. Captain.
Yes.
I must once again advise against this course of action.
Takora, if you can find me any indication in Starfleet or Federation records that identify a sphere at Wolf 359, I will pull back. If not, I am going to engage.
Okay, Dad, sorry.
I'm going to, again, Takora, I've studied everything about this battle. There was no sphere.
And does that not seem to you suspicious?
It does.
Takora's just gonna stop speaking and just stand at her station, face blank.
As you get closer, it seems almost like you pass through a threshold, and as soon as you move in to engage this sphere, the sensors come back online as you're able, the Reliance able, tactical comes up, you're able to use the assists for phasers and photons, but there was some type of cloaking field. It wasn't what normally would be used as a Romulan cloaking device or a Klingon. It was more of just a sensorial disruption. And when you walked through the fence of this yard, you were allowed to see, and the Reliant was allowed to see the sphere. But as you all get closer, I need to know what actions you're prepping, and according to Starfleet regulation, I need everyone at their station. T, everyone else is already at their station. T, for you, this is either the medical station and environmental on the bridge, or actually down in Med Bay. Where would you like to be as red alert sounds?
I think she would sprint back to medbay where she can basically have full control of her sector.
Okay. So as you get back, the doctor is still, vigorously working. And you walk in, he sort of glances over his shoulder in a very human type of maneuver, and then nods and goes back to the task at hand. And as you all get close to the cube, and as a Mott pulls into range or into the sphere turns, and you can see that while it's completely round, there seems to be a designated front as the direction in which it was traveling. That side or that face spins to look at the Reliant as it comes in. Not expecting to be attacked, Reliant, you have the first option as, once again, having an NPC captain, the captain is simply going to say to Nat, fire at will. You determine everything with tactical. This includes maneuvers that you would like to give a Mott, and then Takura, any information that you want to pull from the sensors. Assume that Yates is giving you full reign of your particular stations. So I'm not going to order out what to do because that would be helping. I don't want to do that.
And none of us
All
are
right.
Starfleet officers.
We should keep moving.
You can always ask me questions. You can always ask me questions and I'll help. So
Okay, we should keep moving. We should keep moving. We should not do what they're doing back there, which is like lining up to die. We should keep moving around it. It's a sphere anyway. Phaser cannons are going to be our best bet for right off the bat, because that's what we have to fight them.
Do you think it's sensible to just immediately engage? Should we attempt? Yes, of course you're nodding on that. Should we attempt to make contact?
Uh-huh. I'm
because
surprised
it seems like
they
they're
haven't.
surprised that it seems like they're surprised that we can see them.
Right.
That was all said in character. Just
Yep.
So
Okay.
Roger. Tensions are running high. I got it.
Can I?
So-
Here's a question. Can I open healing frequencies without lowering shields? I don't think.
Well, it seems that they were up before. Now, technically, it wouldn't work from ship-to-ship communication unless it was you were talking to a Federation craft, because they have the modulation down.
Yeah.
But with an enemy craft, normally you have to have some type of like acceptance of the call, and everyone kind of has to be being cool. But yeah, you can give it a try. Are you trying to contact Locutus, or are you trying to contact the sphere?
I want those frequencies open because I'm surprised that they haven't contacted us knowing the Borg. I don't want to just...
Lieutenant Nalan, what face was Datok wearing? You said he was in the aspect of a human.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were on the planet, the one that I can currently not quite remember, because I can't see it in my notes.
Calmer?
No, the first one.
Karina 7.
Karina 7. And when we were on Karina 7, they were using technology to mask their base. Would it be possible for them to create the image of a Borg sphere?
Perhaps they can appear as a completely different species, down to DNA.
This would be within their abilities then.
I don't see why not.
Captain?
Yes. You guys are on a beeline for this thing now. We can have one little bit more conversation and then you're in the shit. So let me know. What's the question?
Let me posit this, that we are not heading straight towards a Borg sphere, but instead some kind of projection of a Borg sphere.
We'll know soon enough.
That we will, sir.
Nat, fire.
Okay.
I can feel court-martials coming. You
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is control and security plus reliance, weapons, and security should you
Yes.
decide to obey orders and fire.
Nat would. Nat instructs Amat to fly randomly.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So
Mott just takes the little console thing. It goes when you're a little kid and you're at the arcade machine. You're just like, yay! But slower.
I'm gonna use a point of momentum. Oh my god, I'm gonna re-roll. Use one of my re-rolls because
Reese's and Pieces.
I don't feel like letting my inner conflict out right now. It can stay where it belongs, inside. Yes. Hey, it's more like it. Plus,
Okay, so yeah, with 3 successes, you may add to damage or you may bank a momentum that you just used. You can roll damage if you would
yes,
like.
and I need to add the reliant to this, right? Weapon
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
and security.
You should be able to just touch the phaser array and click yes for focus, because in this fight, everything you do is reliant is focused towards fighting the Borg.
Yes, okay. I will do that then. I'm doing cannons. Phaser
Sounds
cannons. Yes. Nice. Yay. Oh, yay. I like
Go ahead and roll damage for me.
8, and I'll add damage from my extra success.
Okay. And as 8 damage rocks into the Borg sphere, let me see here.
What does my momentum add? 1 or 2? Whatever the
you can
extra
add-
success was.
Yes, you can add 2 to that,
Okay,
please.
Sweet. So 10 total.
Yep. I'm sorry, I need one sheet up here so I can do what I need to do.
I'm stressed out, y'all.
Okay. Just had to check on that one. As it rocks into the side, you see visible damage rip across the sphere as this perfect geometrical shape is compromised. It's almost as if it goes flat on one little corner of it. Also, this sphere in and of itself is roughly 75% the same size as the cube. So the closer you get, this isn't something that's smaller or something that could potentially be, a lot of people think first contact when this thing popped out of a cube. This does not look like it could be that. It looks like a large kind of self-sufficient ship among it by itself. And as it hits the side, you see a dent appear, but without the need for a scan visually as you watch, you can already see in your tactical cam the regeneration of the exterior. You do hit for 8 damage though. You deliver 8 damage. You're not sure exactly how that goes with the sphere, but the sphere turns as you all move. I'm going to need from Amat, please give me a control and give me a con. And coincidentally, with control and con, you can use con too if you want. All that is threat.
You know, I'm feeling pretty threatened already, so I'm just gonna let Con like hang out in the background for a few minutes. You know, nothing against Con, but I'm just gonna try it by myself real quick because I feel
Yeah, he's busy anyway, so that's okay.
Neat. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it a shot and ka-chow.
Oh, it looks good. There we go.
Yay, I did it.
Fantastic. So it seems that anytime they get behind the wheel, proverbially, of the Reliant and Ensign Amat are one as the Federation drift continues, as the Reliant, more disk than the full Starfleet structure, begins to spin around the craft, enabling Nat to fire off the shot that caused quite a bit of damage. But in so doing, from outside, the ship comes through. Just so we know, when I roll for the Borg have a natural 1 always, because I'm not using any NPC characters aboard them. So they get a standing 1 from their crew. However, they need 2 to hit you. And as Amat spins the ship around, you see this beam weapon that you can actually feel as it goes past the Reliant, as the Reliant she shudders as it goes very close but does not hit. On tactical, you see warning lights flash along the shield array as it got close to your exterior bubble. It did not drop any shields, though. You can return fire at this time.
Yeah. Trying to
I'm
go
not
for the
singing
same spot.
their own battle music, by the way.
Yes. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm going for the same spot because that's the only way to deal with them, is to try and get past their regeneration and get in
I'm
there.
going to add 1 to the DC then, so it'll be 3 as you're targeting a specific spot.
Okay. Control security. I will use another point of momentum. So we're down to 4, I believe. Yes. And I will then add the Reliant. Come here. So many tabs. Where'd you go? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'll let you know what I'm doing, Lauren, is I'm queuing up my ship as soon as I do something, just so you have it ready, because it takes a lot of clicks to get through it. So.
Yeah.
I wish I could, kid, but.
So it's 3 total.
Okay. And roll that damage as you hit. So for 10 plus the effect that comes through, and I will roll.
So we've done 20 total.
Give me 1 moment as I see if something happened. Okay, so you see the 10 rip into it, and just as your phaser's going through, at the very last bit, you see some type of shield pop up on the outside as the damage ceases. So you do the full 10 damage, but you see at the end that there has been some type of modification.
Yeah.
And you know that with your training, this is going to require a recalibration.
We need to raise the frequency. Yeah.
Correct. Now, to do that, it requires 2 momentum.
Okay.
So you may do so at your next round as you go through. So everybody else, as you're going through, again, Amat, give me another control and a con as you spin around and are whipping around this almost like an electron around the nucleus of the Borg sphere, and they are going to return their fire right now.
Nice, Amat.
I'm a motherfucking savant.
Nice. And hold on, I've got one other thing to roll because I spent threat to do this. Give me 1 sec.
Okay. Amat's just like, wee.
Okay, boy, oh boy. These are some interesting rolls that I'm getting. Again, with the whip of Amat, this beam just barely misses as Amat's able to keep them out. Go ahead and give me 1 more shot as you spend the momentum. I'll take my take this down. What is in my...
Too many.
It's like, hooray!
Too many tabs.
Oh my word, I know.
I'm going to use one more point of momentum besides the ones I used to retune. 3 for me, and then Das Ship. Here we go. Yes. Nailing it. I'm going to can I re-roll for the ship?
Absolutely.
Cool, I'll do it. Whee!
I'll take it. Re-roll for the ship.
Okay. Okay, I'm out of those. But it seems like a good thing. Yay! So 4 total.
Okay, you can put the momentum back then if you would like, and
Okay.
you are able to roll damage for me.
Okay, 6.
Okay, 6, and you are able to, put that momentum back as 6 additional damage goes onto the sphere. You're working this one part, and you see that you're actually drilling into the side of it. For a moment, there's a decking exposed, and you actually see figures flying out into the vacuum of space as you all are being, are scoring some pretty heavy hits on the side here. But what I'm going to do is because this needs to happen, I am going to reduce my threat by 4 to give me 2 automatic successes on this. So I am going to roll this now. And I'm going to roll damage as 14 rips into the Reliant. You should have something to reduce that by. I will let you know that the Reliant, let's see, she has a blade of armor, which gives her a 4% or 4 resistance. So that'll just be 10. However, I need you to roll 1d20 twice for me, Nat, as there have been 2 hull breaches.
11 and 14.
Okay, so with 11 and 14, you notice that there has been a hull breach in the structure of the ship, and you also see that it's been compounded as this drill goes into the side of the Reliant, ripping into and through the armor. The shields, you currently have how many in shields?
I think do we start with 8 or do we start with 12?
You start with
12.
12.
Okay.
You're down to 1, but because any 5 or more causes a breach, double breaches on that one. As the deck is compromised, you'll see that underneath the structure on the Reliance sheet, and I can actually click these for you. I'm going to click 2 breaches right there. The little purple pips that are underneath.
Yep.
So if you get 5, the craft blows up, which is not the thing that you want to happen.
Yeah.
But as this rips into everybody, I want everybody to roll a fitness and a security as the entire craft rocks to the side. Anybody seated does not have to roll this. So really, this is more like Nat and T who are standing in the ship. Everyone else, you're in your seat. You just have to do the Star Trek.
Yeah. Is there anyone close enough to Amat that Amat might be able to instead grab them or help them steady themselves?
Captain Yates, who is going to be rolling as well.
Okay. Then
3 for
Amat
now.
Do you want me to roll fitness and security to catch Yates so he doesn't fall?
Yates is okay.
Okay, that's fine then.
Yeah.
Amat will just like, oh, no, you're fine. He's got it.
He grabs hold as everything rips through there. You see lights, Amat, across your board as the Reliant screams in pain with this incredible smash from this cutting weapon. And as this rips through the Reliant, Takura, the science station, just illuminates as various sections of the ship have been compromised. Because she's a singular, almost like a rancher style ship, you see that this deck has been laid open on the port side, just cut, with a scalpel almost. There are casualty reports coming in, 3, 9, 12. Reports of injuries that are being beamed from site to site into the med bay. So to you start seeing people materialize in and around. And when you move to go to help, you realize the doctor is not moving to help.
Yeah, she'll, as soon as she starts, she moves over to the first person. She's like, what are you doing? Now, quick, now.
The doctor looks over his shoulder and says, I will help you as soon as I can.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now that is more important than their lives?
I'm helping the whole ship, Doctor.
And she sort of gives him a scare. I was like, you do it real quick? And she just starts working. He
snaps a bow as quick as the wind and goes back to doing whatever it is he's doing. At this point, as the Reliant is moving, Nat, you're readying another fire when the hailing frequencies that you left open crackle as on your sensors pop up another Federation craft. This Federation is an Excelsior class ship. It seems to be from the time frame that, it falls in line with Wolf 359, and it bears the designation the USS Scandalon. And you hear the captain of the Scandalon come through.
Scandalon? Is this now a Critical Role crossover?
Scandalon, right?
Okay.
Yes.
This is Commander Dedonan Tuatha, the USS Scandalon. You bear a Federation ship with a registration that we do not recognize. Please identify yourself.
Captain Yates turns and looks at Takora. Handle this. Nat, prepare to fire.
Shit. Captain, please desist from any further inquiries.
Unidentified vessel, please identify yourself.
Takora is not impressed by this situation. In fact, she's exceptionally unimpressed.
This is Ship Dad's fault.
I can't believe that Ship Dad did this to us, guys.
I can.
We're divorcing Ship Dad.
Captain Tuatha, again, I repeat, do not follow this line of inquiry.
Unidentified vessel. We are currently locked in a heated battle with the Borg. I need to know who I am talking to so I know if I'm facing one foe, 2 foes, or 3 foes. Please identify yourself.
Yates turns around and looks at you, Takora. Tell him.
I am the acting executive officer Takora of the USS Reliant. We are out of our, time. I suggest that you look away before any more damage is done.
Acting Executive Officer Takora, I'm afraid we're a little bit too late for that now. You have engaged with the enemy we are engaged with. Until you're the enemy of my enemy is my friend until you prove me otherwise. Let's take this thing out. We will talk about time continuums later, if we survive.
A very agreeable conclusion, Captain.
Takora, as the ship's registry is identified as the Scandalon, and as it pulls up, you see that the Scandalon was destroyed at the Battle of Wolf 359. There were no survivors. So with this approach, as the Excelsior class Scandalon engages the Borg, just as the Reliant has suffered this split, Captain, I will ask you now to fire on the Borg if you wish to, as you have engaged and given them something else to shoot at. At least that's what Captain Sulu would say.
All right, I will move my ship on the opposite side of the sphere of theirs, and I will unload with photon torpedoes.
Give them a shot, give them a spread, give them something else to think about.
Torpedoes away.
And as you also get an automatic success, those hit. I'd like you to roll the damage by clicking the damage in the bar. As 3+ high yield effects, which triples the damage to 9, as you see the Excelsior class roll in, and with a this spray of photons goes out, and you see 3 strikes along the plane of this sphere, as 2 Federation craft now fight the Borg. Nat, you have your chance to retaliate. However, I will let you know that if you would like to instead focus your attention on throwing weapon system power back into the shields, you may do so. And to speed this up, I will allow you to roll a d6. This d6 will show what your weapon systems are able to add to the ablative armor and the ship's shields.
Okay.
And that's a choice you have going forward, to add to shields or return fire.
Okay. I'm going to add to shields until we can move. So I'm going to tell Amat to kind of use the Scandalon as like the big fish and use it to get in closer.
Mott's like, I'm hungry, but follows those orders to the best of their ability.
Cool.
Because that sounds super complicated. That sounds way more complicated than like taking a joystick and going wee wee wee.
Well, let's go ahead and same roll. Let's do the same. I will allow you to substitute daring in for any of these at any time. So if you wanted to do a control and con, I'm just asking. I'm not gaming or anything. So yeah.
No, you're fine. Control is 8 for me, and daring is 1. So
okay. Lauren, you may add 2 back to the shields for as you're able to put it back into play. As you do so, we're going to go back to the Borg. The Borg seem to identify another craft as, and especially with that damage that's hit, you see a separate attack go off as okay, and again, we're experiencing technical difficulties with the Borg craft, and it's just, I'm rolling like, thank you, roll 20.
You want me to go ahead and roll my maneuver?
Yeah, you go right ahead and roll your maneuver. As aboard the Scandalon, you see this blue beam rip across the dome of the saucer section of your craft. It does not strike, as your shields are able to deflect the majority of the heat and energy, and you crunch down beside. With a 1, it doesn't necessarily look like what Nat described. However, you're able to kind of fish in behind the Scandalon, and you're able to kind of come up almost like you're drafting, like you're in NASCAR, as you come up around and are able to keep the craft between you and the Borg, but the Borg fire and kind of split the difference between the two of you. We're back around to the Scandalon. Scandalon, you may return fire using phasers, photons, or whatever you think you'd like to do.
We will hit with photons again.
Go right ahead. Okay, you have a 1 automatically, but unfortunately that does not do anything. As you fire this time, you see that the craft moves erratically. You're not sure exactly where propulsion's coming from this sphere, but it stops on a dime and almost seems like a cue ball with a bit of English on it as it spins and takes to a different direction. The rest of you that are relying on propulsion from a given source, you can only bank and come around as this thing is highly maneuverable. As you come back around, Nat, you may do whatever you would like to do at this point as the Borg are preparing to fire again.
Do they seem like they're firing at the Scandalon or at us?
You can't tell because it seems that you've never experienced you being locked on or anything like that, and they're firing with precision, so it's very difficult to indicate where, there's no cannon to read, there's no...
Right. Okay. I'm gonna fire back and tell Amat to be prepared to evade.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Cool.
Hey, Con, what are you doing right now?
I'm a bit busy.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. You having a good
Judy.
day? No, not yet. Are we gonna have to blow this other ship up?
What other ship?
No other ship. Never mind.
Hold on. That's 2 for me, and then... one. So 3 total.
That's it. Go ahead and roll the damage for me.
Yes.
Okay, and as another hit rocks into the sphere, you're seeing distinct damage on this craft. The Reliant was geared to do exactly what she's doing, and that's bust ass on these Borg. The Borg, in turn, and I'm going to take another 4 threat away from my current levels as she fires on the Scandalon. And so for another 16, you see the Excelsior class that you are using to draft along the bottom of its nacelle bearing. You see ripping against the hull of this craft as I need you to roll 1d20 twice for me, as we have multiple breaches in effect here for the Scandalon, as while the Reliant is built for the Borg, this craft is not.
$14 and $9.
Okay, so with a 14 and a 9, the Scandalon experiences breaches in both its sensor array and its main structure. So main sensor dish is damaged, and she's taken a hell of a beating there. What shield did you have going into this, as they should all be gone with that?
I started with 10.
Okay, you started with 10, and I think you have a resistance of 2, so that takes it down to a 14. So the effects have been put into place, but you are currently without shields, as with one shot, the Borg are able to drop the Scandalon shields to 0%, much like what happened to the Excelsior craft, the Melbourne, that you all witnessed at the very beginning of the battle. The destruction of its saucer section and the explosion of the craft. But let me take my threat down to 0, as you are all on basically equal footing now. Damage though
Engineering, I need shields now.
You see that there is plasma venting out of the side of the Excelsior class. She has been terribly wounded, but she's still flying, and it appears with the hailing frequencies open, the captain is still in command of the craft. She is fighting. So we go back to the top of the order, but before we can do anything else, Nat, you notice several blips appear in your internal security array. You all have borders. specifically in medical. T, as you are dealing with everybody, you turn and you see a transporter beam coalesce, and there is a humanoid that you have seen in vid capture but never in flesh. This Frankensteinian creation of tech and tissue, and it raises a severed arm that has instead just wiring gears and environmental indicators as it begins to awkwardly move towards you.
Okay, and she sort of backs up a tiny bit and question, because I know we're in a different timey-wimey thing. Do I still have that knife I stole from the Romulan?
You have everything that you had before. Yep.
Yeah, okay. She's probably going to just move around it fairly slowly, and she's like yelling for the other doctor, like, doctor, like, with the knife out.
You see,
yeah.
As you yell to the doctor, you see the doctor pull up what looks like a test tube or a vial, very similar to what you saw in the hospital and in the Federation Science Facility that you were walking to down in Kalmora. As it admires it for a moment, and the doctor turns around and you hear, filthy creature. And he begins to move towards the creature, kind of shoulder to shoulder with you. Are you going to attack with the knife, or are you going to, what are you going to do?
To specifically, if they've got the big head part on, she's going to try and get the knife in there, not to attack the head, but to leave her, like, snap. Put it right.
You're going to pop
and try and pop it off.
You're going to pop the shell off the head of the Borg turtle.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and roll an attack roll for me. If you have your knife under your weapon, do so. If you have an unarmed attack, you can do that as well. If not, it's just a fitness and security.
Okay, I have got an unarmed. My knife, there we go. 2d20.
Okay, roll damage. Okay, so with 5, as it also has the vicious, you're able to do exactly what you say as it jams inside the Borg plate, and you see the Borg kind of twitch for a moment as it reaches out and grabs a hand on you, but it's still moving as you see the doctor come forward, and as he's moving, he grabs a hypo spray, and you see him press it against the flesh of the Borg's neck, and you hear the hiss, but the hiss begins to quiet as the area around you, T, turns to white, and you feel yourself being transported.
And she's like, wait, and she starts just slapping on the communicator to see if anyone can hear.
And as the shh, and the med bay is clear, and Amat, you would hear in your head, they have taken your friend. The doctor's gone.
Well, we can't have that. We better go get her.
Reports from all over the ship. Engineering, there is a report from environmental control, which has life support in it, that there are similar abductions occurring or attempted to be. You hear Scout down in engineering, I need help! Damn it, I need help! As she's calling for security.
She has bodyguards.
Apparently, they aren't doing much. So, this is again back up to tactical as Yates turns, and instead of ordering Nat to do anything, Yates begins to run and leaves the bridge. As he does so, he yells over his shoulder, Takora, you have the con, as he leaves on his way to engineering.
This is my literal worst nightmare.
The big chair is free.
Takora does not go near it. Lieutenant.
Yes.
What do you think we should do?
Our primary focus in battle is the Federation first. Any other lives are secondary. But I don't think we should give them any people who would have knowledge from the future.
I am inclined to agree with you, Lieutenant.
I imagine it's at this point that Khan tells Amat that T is gone. And T turns around in their seat and says, Nat, T's gone. Lieutenant. And then slowly takes in the atmosphere and turns back around.
How deep's that hole in the sphere? People were flying out of it.
You can see decking.
Cool.
Can I scan for familiar life signs that we might be able to tell if they've transported the
Where they
doctors
would be?
to the ship, to the sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a control and give me science, and then you are going to be able to use the Reliance sensors and science as well.
Okay, so that's one success there. And then the Reliance.
Looks like we got a new friend.
Captain Dodonna, you are able to fire on the Borg craft. You are free at this moment, but you have suffered a terrible wound to your ship. I will give you the same ability that I gave to Lauren, in that you can choose to try to boost shields. You get to roll a d4, however, because this is you're unprepared for the Borg. But you can do that, or you continue to fight. The Borg sphere has taken substantial damage from the two ships. It does not appear to be compromised, but it has taken quite a beating.
And right now, I have no idea what the Reliant is doing or what's happening there. Just my ship alone, correct?
Correct. You can't get any readings. You see that it's been damaged as well, but you do not have any boarders aboard the Scandalon, but you are being targeted and attacked.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stall for a little bit of time and get some shields back up. After taking that first hit, it's like we can't take very many of those. We need to get shields up stat.
Okay, roll
So
me a D4. Yep, and Nat, it's back over to you as everybody seems to be kind of creeping and moving around. It's a chess match for a round here.
I want to go over there. Talking to
Okay.
Takora.
Oh, sorry.
The question is, Lieutenant, do we compound the mistakes of our captain with choices we make now?
I say,
T, hold on one sec. T, when you were transported away, what was the overriding emotion that you were feeling? Fear, anger?
I actually think on this it was fear, not just for herself, but now that there's loads of injured people in the med bay and there's no one saving their lives.
Then Nat, you would have felt that familiar sense of self-sacrifice and fear, and then it vanished just before Amat said, T's been taken.
so keep firing after I go over there. Don't wait for me.
How do you propose you bring them back?
We either do, or you blow it to hell. Either way, they don't get the info.
You're suggesting something akin to a suicide mission, Lieutenant.
Still a win. Will I pass engineering on the way, Greg? Just map-wise?
It's just past the transporter pad, so yeah, you would see it. In fact, this isn't 6-second D&D rounds. This is that moment, almost like in the Abrams version, where they have that like a couple moments while the craft kind of get into position. That's what's happening right here. And as the Scandalons generating shields for a total of 2 and getting into position, you do know there's another craft out there that is successfully running interference right now.
Yeah.
As you would go forward, you would see Yates as he's pulling himself back up the hallway. He appears to have sustained a slash across the front of his uniform, but other than that, he's okay, as he is checking readouts as he goes, and he sees you coming if you are heading in that direction.
Yeah, she's heading to the transporter pad.
Captain Tuatha.
This is Tuatha. Come in, Reliant.
Has anyone been taken from your ship?
I check with with security. According to my security officer, we have had no boardings or no transports off of our ship.
Would you be agreeable to helping us retrieve those that have been removed from the Reliant?
If you need to board there, we will do the best we can to give you cover. Keep them occupied with us so that you can do what you need to do. The less these inhuman infernal machines learn about us, the better, no matter what time frame we're from.
Agreed. Captain Yates.
Yes.
They have taken some of our number. We must take them back.
He looks at Nat. You're not going by yourself.
She certainly isn't. Lieutenant, I will come with you.
Take T. Take Amat with you too.
We cannot take T, Captain. She's already there.
Go. And Nat, as he passes you, he looks down and you see him. He meets your gaze and you feel the regret. You were right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Nat was right? Or like, who was right here?
He doesn't know Takora well enough to admit that type of weakness, but he will do so with Nat.
Interesting.
Nat saved his life, and he's more open with her than he is with just about anybody. He's sort of a dick.
She squeezes his hand as she passes by and just runs.
Captain, before we leave, I have some experience with medicine. Is there anything with which I can be of service? I see you have taken some damage.
I'm fine. T will see to me whenever you bring her back.
Yes, Captain.
And as you all rush over to the transporter pad, Willow Akano is sitting there, and you see that she is bleeding from the temple, and you realize that a Borg drone attacked here as well. It did not fare well against Willow Akano, but the transporter pad is free. As you are all able to get there. Amat, Takora, and Nat. Nat, right, because the Reliant. As you pass the transporter pad, there is a bank of Phase 3 phaser rifles. You're all welcome to some of those bad boys if you'd like them.
Yes. Although we shouldn't fire unnecessarily, if I recall right. They're not going to do anything to us until they see us as threats. So, you know.
That's what you've read. And in the books that you've read, or the files and electronic devices you've read, yeah, but you've never been on a Borg ship. So, in theory, yes. In practice,
be calm.
Amat wants a gun. Amat wants a gun.
Amat, there. The big ones are there.
Oh, big one. I'm gonna get a big gun.
We'll touch it.
I'm gonna touch it.
That will not stop you.
As everybody is leaving and heading towards the transporter pad, Amat, you are the last to leave because of your proximity, and you have to relieve the con as you do so. As you're passing by medical, you see the doctor standing just at the threshold of the medical bay, and you hear from the doctor's voice, "Amat, if you will." And you see the test tube being offered to you. Just put that in your pocket, please.
Okay. What? It's like, an adult offering me a thing. Thank you. What's this for?
It's to help. Just keep it on you. It shouldn't break. It's very sturdy.
Can I put it in one of the hypoguns? Hypogun? Yeah?
I would prefer if you didn't. Just I'll be with you in a moment. I must and you see the hologram turns and keys a pad beside it, and then all of a sudden the back stiffens. What am I doing here?
Whoop, in the pocket.
And the hologram turns around and, oh my, as it sees this bevy of injured, and begins to, and all the while as you turn, you hear the doctor, T. My word.
I have to go rescue her. She's been kidnapped. We'll see you later.
What? And you just hear that.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, Kobayashi Maru came in. Boy, perfect timing.
It's like, awkward. Just gonna take this handful of Power Ranger Band-Aids and leave.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. I like the red ones. As you all get into this position, I am going to cut away as you all beam over. We are going to return with our doctor as she arrives before you do. Yes, I see Takora has a question.
Just very, very quickly. While we're on the transporter pad, Takora's gonna look at Nat and say to her, "We'll get her back."
She doesn't say anything.
Energize.
And as you turn into light and disappear, bound for the interior of the Borg sphere, before we take our break, we are going to go again to Captain Dodonna and the Scandalon. Captain, you have Federation Starfleet personnel aboard that sphere. You have indicated that you are going to buy them time. What I would like you to do, sir, is I would like you to tell your crew what they are in store for, and I would like you to make 3 attack rolls against the craft. You are targeting non-vital, or what you believe to be non-vital aspects of the sphere in an effort to aid the away team. But you know this is going to end very badly for the Scandalon. What do you tell the crew that is looking to you?
This is Commander Dedanan Tuatha. To all ship crew and personnel. As you know, we are fighting this infernal creature known as the Borg. Our orders are to shoot, kill, destroy. But right now we need to alter those orders. It appears we have a Starfleet vessel from another time, I'm presuming the future. That ship has been boarded by the Borg and has taken personnel off of that ship, who must be retrieved to make sure that these infernal creatures do not gain any information from us Federation-wise, whether it's our time frame or whatever time frame they claim to hail from. For now, we need to target areas in order to keep them at bay, but not destroy the vessel entirely until we have been notified by this Reliant that all of their personnel has been cleared. This is not going to be easy. We knew that going into this. Now the stakes are raised even higher, not just for us, but for future lives and future generations. We must help the Reliant get their crew back at all hazards. I repeat, at all hazards.
And as Captain Dodonna's voice echoes throughout the craft of the Excelsior class, people in engineering turn and listen to the voice of the captain that they trust. They all fall to task as the doomed craft begins its own suicide mission, one to save the future entire. And that's where we're going to take our break. And when we come back, we are going to bid farewell to Captain Dodonna right now, but the Scandalon, with the rolls that Hawk's going to give us, we'll see just how well the Scandalon does before it succumbs to the Borg. I'd like to thank Hawk for being an awesome captain, and we will be right back as we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to figure out how to really Kobayashi this Maru. Let's have some fun. Be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. Just so you know, there were rolls made by Captain Dodonna and the Scandalon, and we will see those effects throughout the course of the away team's movements aboard the Borg Spear. But before we go there, we have to see what happened to T. And so T, as you are transported off of the Reliant, out of the med bay, you tap your communicator. It doesn't do anything as you're already insubstantial. You appear in this dimly lit area with recessed lighting in the ceiling, low lit, some on the floor beneath a grate. But the Borg that had touched you with the attack of your knife and the injection of the hypo spray into the organic material remaining on the Borg, you see the drone slip and fall prone loudly against the decking.
Right. And she just starts rolling up her sleeves and takes whatever she has, and as quietly as she can, she is moving around this ship to try. She wants to get away from this body, because if they find it, then that's bad.
Okay. So are you attempting to move quietly through the ship? Are you running through the ship?
She's moving.
Described.
She is.
Okay.
She's got the knife out. She's got the phaser close to hand, and she's almost, because even though she can see it is dully lit, she wants to be able to feel along the walls so that she can grab anything at any point.
Okay. Roll me a control and roll me a... Let's do security here as you're attempting to be quiet.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. She's not quite person.
And every time your foot falls on this grating, you can't help but kind of just... You feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up as it seems to be so loud. Goom, goom, goom.
She winces at every step.
Yeah. And as you go through, you see the decking and the railing of this craft so dark, too dark for general socialization for humanoids. The medical knowledge in your brain spouts off that, you know, this is the way to injure your eyes, and having too low of light. It reminds you a lot of Kalmora, where you just came from, where everything is kind of dependent upon the night vision, and things were just, because of their culture and their species, left low lit. But as you move through here, you see pockets of, or pods, if you will, of standing and plugged in Borg drones. And you see an array of wiring coming from each of these little cubicles. You see nodes flashing green and red, these pyramid-type devices that seem to indicate hubs where several of these, this web of these pockets of drones kind of interlace into one. Everything looks the same. What would you like to do?
She's going to move, like she's going to observe for a bit, keep her back away from these Borg so that nothing can grab her from behind, and she'll follow the wires. And if she can see they're all attached to one pyramid-like device, she's gonna break it.
Okay. So yeah, you can see several of these pyramid devices that seem to be at intersections where the grating meets. They are high, though, to the point where you would either have to climb up to them, or you have your Type 1 phaser if you wanted to fire that at them. If you can think of another way to damage them, let me know.
She's running over all the information she knows and what she learned about the Borg in her head. But at the same time, she's just going to grab the phaser and fire. She wants to get rid of these as soon as possible.
Okay, without the need for a roll here, this is a stationary target. You are Starfleet officer. You hit it, and you can see that there is a red area heating up on the side of it, but it seems like you're going to need more firepower than what's being projected here to actually damage this device. When you stop your beam, there is a burn mark on the side of it, but it doesn't seem to have been compromised.
And for once, she's actually, for the situation she's in, she's actually quite calm. And she's going to keep moving. She doesn't want to be in the same place for too long. She doesn't want them to be aware of exactly where she is.
As you continue to move, you hear distant footfalls. But they seem to be moving away. They seem to be erratic and uniform in that they're singular. There is a beat to the steps, but they're not moving in the same direction. So the sound kind of echoes differently, but it's odd. There is a harmony to everything in this place, or at least there appears to be. But as you go through and as you round a corner, you see the splash of gold of a Starfleet uniform lying on the floor.
She looks down briefly and picks it up. Can I see
It is a
registration on the badge or anything?
the badge is not present, but it's just the uniform, and it seems to be. It almost seems like somebody sawed it off in the back. It looks like it's been cut and opened like what we would have as a gown that you would wear when you go to the hospital. It does not open this way normally, but it is cut. And you notice that there is blood on the interior of the uniform.
She scowls and just probably curses under her. And she'll keep moving. She's not taking that with her because they know they've dropped that there.
As you're walking, you begin to hear beneath the hum and the operation of the ship, it's strange, T, you don't hear a fight. When you've been on the Reliant and the craft has attacked or been attacked, there is a physicality and a sound to it as the craft absorbs impact or delivers punishment at the hands of Nat. It seems like this craft is just cruising in a state of complete calm. And that's what you feel. You feel much like you yourself are in control of your emotions and calm, you feel this sense of almost peace. But as you're walking, you feel a ping of terror.
And if she can, just focus on it in any way.
As we described the Betazoid ability, it's more of, sensorial in the smell, the olfactory sense. You're not sure where it's emanating from. It's kind of possible to follow it, but because of the uniform nature of the catwalks and the grading, it kind of leads you, forces a lead, and you can feel it getting stronger. And as you round a corner, you see against an elevated angled slab, you see Catherine Ross, who is an engineering ensign that works with Scout, and she is on the slab, and you can see that there are several Borg drones around her as they are operating.
Is she alive? I'm assuming yes.
She is, and she is terrified.
How many Borgs are there?
2.
T, if one of them has her back to her, she's going to try slide up by the wall, and if depending on where the armor is, but knowing the right sort of place, she wants to go right up behind them with the knife and just jab it down past the collarbone and through as quietly as possible.
Then I would like you to roll me the stealth for the approach again, as I'll even take a daring here if you're trying to rush up. So it's either control and security or daring and security, and then an attack roll as you bring the blade down on the board.
One success. If not, I'll re-roll.
It seems fine to me.
Okay. With the knife. That's 3 successes.
Yep. And as you bring the knife down, just as you are attacking, go ahead and roll damage for that. As you turn, as you come down, the Borg turns almost as if it sensed your approach, catching one of your last footfalls. As it whips around, you're able to drive it home, and with the vicious nature and the 7, you're able to bring this Borg down as it shudders, as the organic aspects of this drone fail. The other one continues to move to the wall, grabbing a long, what looks to be a very crude artificial limb from the wall, and you hear the whir of what you would think to be some type of, almost like a medieval in this day and age, surgical saw, as a and it turns around and you see that this has the device of a saw in its hand and is holding the artificial limb in the other. What do you want to do?
As she drives the knife down, she turns it slightly, almost as like to prop them up and hold it up against her, so that if any attack should come, she's got effectively a human shield. And then with the other hand, draw out her phaser and fire at the other one that's walking back to her comrade.
It turns and go right ahead and fire your phaser, because this thing sees a Borg and doesn't seem to be, it was too far away to hear your final footfall. Roll damage for me.
Can I re-roll on anything?
Yeah, I'll let you re-roll if you want to roll the re-roll the damage, go right ahead. You can use one of your re-rolls for that. I'll take it.
4.
Okay. So with a 4, it splits in just above where it's holding the artificial limb, and the saw is the only indication that it's feeling pain, because you see the whirring blade stop. It as it steps back and looks down, smoke rising from the mixture of inorganic and organic material that's been affected by your phaser. But then it looks back up and you see a light on the side of its face, like narrow, and a pinpoint of red come out and begin to search over the body you have in front of you.
She is going to move that body forward.
Okay.
Not letting the red light touch her. And just keep moving it forward as if it's walking towards this other Borg.
Okay, hold on one sec. And we have Kobayashi Maru in effect. All right. As the creature the Borg turns and looks at you, and as you're moving it, it begins to move awkwardly towards the two of you. At this point, Catherine Ross, who's laying on the bed, elevated, strapped down by some type of containment field, looks up and makes eye contact with you, T, and you see that the entire other side of her face is pulsing with black veinage that is going down her bare shoulder and chest and up the side of her face, and you see this web of darkness creeping around. You can actually see it moving through her skin and beneath it. Help me! Doctor, help me!
She nods. Have I got any of my stuff with me if I got beamed out?
Yeah, you had your tricorder and everything, because your rig has your phase 1 phaser, your tricorder, you've got, and your hypo spray. So you've got your medical loadout.
Yeah, she's going to still keeping the Borg in front. She's almost going to slide them both in between her and her sort of crewmate. And it's going to start from around, and whether I do it with the tricorder to find out if I have anything that can actually help with this. If we know about the Borg now, do I have
You do, and Starfleet has protocols for actually taking care of nanobot 2. It's extremely difficult, and it is, once they're in your system, it's a process. It's actually been akin to what we would have had in the early 20th century, trying to get rid of, if somebody would get malaria, how they would have to be treated, and then it could be 6 years later and be treated again. It's one of those progressive things, but it's something that can be saved, but not in a situation, an environment that you're currently in with hostiles.
Can I halt it?
No.
Okay.
You do have one option.
I'm going to sedate her. If I can.
Yeah, I'll allow it. You can sedate her. Is it a normal dose?
No, she's doubling it. She's knocking this person right out. Doesn't want her to feel anything, just needs her to be straight out. Still with this other Borg in front of her.
As you hit the hypo, pressing it basically into her thigh where it's elevated the closest towards you, you see her, and then her eyes go, but you see the advance of the vantage continue, even in her unconscious state. The other Borg's advancing. What do you want to do, T?
She's going to take one more step forward towards the Borg. She actually wants to get as close to this other Borg as possible, with its companion in between them. And as soon as she thinks it's close enough, she's going to withdraw the knife, drop the body, and just slide straight into the side of the neck again.
Okay, Borg drones are not very fleet of foot, so I will go ahead and allow this. However, I will let you know that Kobayashi Maru is in effect, so the DC for everything has been advanced by 1. That's why I told you not to bank your momentum. So this is going to require a 3 success barrage to hit, as the creature knows you're there, but this is a melee weapon. So this is something that doesn't necessarily fall into its energy protocols. Go ahead and roll your attack.
Okay. Can I re-roll?
You sure can. In fact, I think Hawk just gave you one.
Ooh. Thank you, Borg. Oh god, okay. 2.
Now, I will let you know that you can use some momentum here if you want to advance that to 3 successes.
Yes,
so I will certainly allow you to spend momentum here. Or you can give me threat. I can just I'll increase 2 threat. You can keep your momentum, and it'll be 3 successes.
No, I'm good. I would really like to use a momentum, please.
Your choice.
I know.
Go ahead and roll me damage. Same roll as before. So with 7, you're able to drive this weapon into the Borg, and this drone drops as well, as you are now standing over the bodies of 2 of these fallen Borg. However, Kobayashi Maru is in effect, and these are 2 Borg that are no longer communicating with the hive. And so what you would hear is the following in your mind and in the PA system, as it kind of reverberates in a communication that only the Betazoids could hear, the mind aspect of it. And you sense a mind similar to your own. But this one has the voice of Locutus. You hail from the empathic colony. We need another. You will become one of us. Prepare for assimilation.
T stays silent. She's trying to get her crewmate off the table and throwing her over her shoulder.
You're going to need to roll me an engineering and a science because this is not like she's strapped down. There's a field around her. You can pass through the field, but it's stationary for the tissue.
So what was it? What in a science?
Engineering and a science. Or, I'm sorry, it would be an engineering and precision, so control, excuse me.
Control. Oh, yay. Two of my worst.
And as you're doing this, and as you hear the boots from different places, only this time instead of acting like they're trailing off and acting like they seem to be converging on your location. As the rest of the party beams aboard the craft. However, when you beam aboard the craft and you all materialize, there's Nat, there's Amat, but there is no Takora.
Can I sense T?
What are you looking for? Just something different?
Well, I can talk to her, so I'm gonna start
Out of that range.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember we established that last one whenever you were getting
right. Okay.
It's ordered like a little bit more than visual.
Yeah, anything I guess I'll start with just anything that's feeling anything.
You feel the sense of peace and calm, same that what T felt whenever she appeared here. Same feelings that T felt. Nothing else right now.
How big is this thing? This sphere?
It seems pretty big.
Do we hear anything, any movement from anywhere?
Sure, I will allow you both to roll me let's see. Let's do a reason, and I'll take security, or I will take reason and I will take command if you are kind of trying to get a lay of everything. I just kind of getting a general sense of the geometry and the geography of the area.
One.
Between the two of you, it's very quiet. It's like a mausoleum in here. You hear the boots, nothing moving toward you, but it's just very quiet.
Well, at least there's still the three of us, two of us. Where is Takora? Where's the XO?
I don't know.
Do you think she got here before us?
Maybe. Hopefully they're still working on blowing this thing up. We should move. I don't know where.
Oh, okay. And do we still have our rifles?
Yeah, your full complement loadout is
nice. Amat will not shoot anything.
I will ask you this. You have two options, right or left.
Or beam me back aboard the Reliant. No, it's not.
Or leaving. Right.
Yes. But I suspect 3 out of my 3 space moms would probably be annoyed. So
Three out of three space moms agree that
Amat's gonna like poke their little head down and be like, are they hallways or are they doors?
they're hallways. Everything is open. There are no doorways that you can see. Everything is low lit. There's a grating. There's a railing. This thing's up to code. So
No space OSHA here.
this isn't Star Wars. They take security and safety seriously here.
Yeah. Amat looks at Nat and says, theoretically, it doesn't matter which way we go since it's a sphere, right?
Right.
Let's go left.
Okay.
It's like, got the two big fingers. Let's break it.
We tried to figure out a way to go. We're just going to go away.
Yeah, when you think about it, every way's like the way we're going to go. It's a sphere. It's roundish.
Right. So as you move to the left, we will cut to Takora. And Takora, as you beam into a small pocket of this Borg vessel, you see that there are several of these drones around. You've been prepped, as has the entire crew of the Reliant, on what they look like, but still it's an odd sensation to see them this close. The low-level lighting, the hum. What is Takora feeling right now?
Takora takes a moment, realizes that she's not with her crew. She's alone. She's on a Borg vessel. Something begins in her gut, and it twists. And it rises, ice cold, towards her throat. And for a moment, such terror comes over Takora that she thinks that she will scream. She takes a breath and doesn't scream, but certainly begins to sweat.
And as this emotional response is pressed back with sheer force of will, you begin to look around you at this particular pod, low lit, but it is quickly that you identify the figure closest to you, half of its face concealed behind metal and plasteel, the other half clear white flesh with a very prominent Vulcan ear. From behind you, you hear the voice of Q. I knew it would be you. My money was always on you.
Takora doesn't say anything.
Why don't you see who it is, Takora?
I do not think that is necessary. Somebody has been... Considering that you are a trickster, someone who plays with people, I can imagine who you think I think it is.
Did you ever wonder why she never came to collect you?
Are you responsible for engineering this situation, Q?
You give me too much credit. I've left all of this in the hands of my groundskeepers. And look where we are.
You know how ridiculous this is. are a powerful being, Q. You could take us back to our correct timeline. This could not have happened. The Borg would not be in possession of some sensitive information about a future they have not yet encountered. Takora is doing, like, everything not to look at this Vulcan.
I told you that, though we don't have anyone around here that can report on it, I cannot do everything. And that you all would have a moment where you needed to make a decision whether or not to play on my lawn. Here we are. Here's where they wanted you to be.
Who are they?
Your enemy. The ones who are winning.
Why here? Why this moment? Why now?
Well, let's think about it. What did I show you?
You gave us each a glimpse of our past, a moment that we wish to change. But also in those moments, someone entered our past. Someone who was not meant to be there.
Right. And what did they do?
There was a hyperspray. They injected us each individually with something. Something to do with time.
And here you all are, on a craft controlled by the Borg.
If you have a theory, Q, I suggest that you share it.
I will. But you need to look at the Vulcan. For I need to know if you are going to be the one I bet on, or you're going to surprise me.
There wouldn't be any use in looking at the Vulcan. I never knew what she looked like.
I think you'll recognize her.
Takora
a
looks.
gift. You see your own eye looking back. Very similar resemblance.
Is this my mother?
It is. Are you going to save her? Are you going to pull her from this place? Attempt to undo what the Borg have done?
It would be illogical to do that.
Logic. You lied to me, and I already know the truth about you. I'm surprised the other two haven't felt it.
If they do, I'll move on. I'll find a different ship. I always do.
Keep moving so they don't know. Are you scared they will force it upon you? What is it called? What is that thing your people do to make them robots like these Borg?
You know fully well of the process of Kolinar, Q.
I do. I find you fascinating, Takora. The rest of these Vulcans are quite without their use, but you, one that can feel. Well, therein lies promise. I don't know why you are all here. Why you are on this Borg ship that did not exist. why this enemy is manipulating the four of you for the span of your lives. They injected you when you were a child. The four of you are special, and I don't know why.
Well, Q, nothing that is unimportant. And maybe that is the answer. We aren't special at all.
Spoken like the true Vulcan you pretend to be.
Are you here to help or torment, Q? Choose
I have a
one and
theory.
be done.
I have a theory. You were all injected by something. The Borg would become a part of you if you fail. They would assimilate you into the collective, taking that part of each of you into them. I don't know if that's good for the Borg or bad for the Borg, or good for the galaxy or bad for the galaxy. It's frustrating to feel like a human, or a humanoid.
They have a particular design on us, then.
It would seem so.
What connects us? What connects us for?
What I showed you, that's all I found.
And Takora is like looking at this Vulcan. Are they... They're unconscious, right?
In a state of, like a catatonic state. Yeah.
Do you know the location of my comrades?
I do. 2 of them are coming.
Coming this way.
They are.
And I suppose when they arrive, you shall suddenly disappear.
That's certainly the more amusing way to do it.
You do have a flair for the dramatic, Q.
I do, and I appreciate your noticing it.
What can I say? I've always appreciated the dramatic.
What an emotional response.
I wish it were not so. Sometimes.
Well, Takora, they're almost here. My suggestion is this. They took the doctor. Why? Perhaps she is the key. I don't know. I wish I did. It'll be fun to see if you find out.
The doctor knows something.
I don't know if she does or not. But I do know that the 4 of you are special in some way, and that they took the doctor. There's also something else I can't put my finger on with the Amat. I'm not sure about them. It's a fuzziness. I'm looking at... I can't explain that one either. I wish I could help more.
Oh, Q, you have done quite enough.
Thank you.
It wasn't a compliment.
I know.
How long do I have before they arrive?
He doesn't answer. Nat and Amat, you walk into the area and see Takora in front of you.
Well, that wasn't hard. You were right, Amant.
Yeah. Captain Amont.
Okay, hold your horses.
Well, someday, maybe.
Okay.
I have to ask, because we have an empath that just walked onto the scene. What is Takora feeling and or attempting to suppress?
Takora is a big ball of anger and confusion and lonely. And she's trying really, really hard to put these emotions in her little boxes. But it's like she can't find the lids for the boxes. And she's staring at this Vulcan, as if by staring at the Vulcan, she might somehow be able to crush everything she's ever felt. And she doesn't even acknowledge that these two have rounded the corner.
Nat, you would feel all of that despite Takora trying to push it down.
Shall we?
Have you located the doctor?
No, we located you though.
I have just had an interesting conversation with our time-traveling jester.
Anything relevant to add to the situation?
For someone who talks so much, he is surprisingly vapid.
That's the way most people who talk a lot are.
That's what my mom says about me. It's like immediate silence after. It's like, oh, okay.
There is a reason we're all here at this moment. There is a reason they chose to take the doctor. The Borg are involved. And Takora's just like staring at this Vulcan.
If we're all supposed to be here, why didn't they just beam us all?
There's something particular about the doctor. Something the doctor knows has something they want or need.
Then we should take it back. I mean her back.
Yep.
As the pondering continues, we will go down the right-hand path that led to T. As you hear these boot steps coming closer and closer. And T, much like Nat felt when she approached, you feel this wave of emotion coming from off to your left. It's relatively close, if you can believe how you're pinging in this place, but it's almost like a signal flare from a sundered ship. But you also hear the Borg.
She is going to throw her crewmate over her shoulder, and she is going to go in the opposite direction of the Borg. And she is no longer being as quiet as she can. She's sprinting.
Okay. So as you pound down through this area, I need everybody, Nat especially with the observation skill, to roll me a reason and roll me a security, as there is a chaotic footfall coming from a relatively close position to you all.
I'm sorry, did you say reason and
Reason and security, please.
security? I'm gonna do it. Sorry about that. Oh no.
There we go. With all of those, you all hear it, but Takora, you're able to identify it as coming back from the way that Nat and Amat came from. There's an echo quality that's multi-level. It's very much like a penitentiary would be. There is what looks to be a solid opening or an opening in the middle, and then tiered levels. You can see them kind of over the top of a lot of these structures. It's nothing really has walls. There's just kind of equipment in the way that leads to other places with equipment. It's very functional, but it's nothing to look at. You hear it coming from the other direction, and we're going to say, since it was a long stretch, you all can see the doctor as she comes around the corner with a fireman's carry of what looks like a half-clothed human.
The doctor approaches.
Amat will go to T's side and at least pick up the doctor, since Amat can at least do that.
Yeah, T you almost take T by surprise. She almost runs to
Oh, well, not her, but the fireman carried.
Yeah, but she sort of goes to a skidding halt as she was more looking behind her. You're here. Yeah, help me. And she sort of
okay.
Do we know of anyone else that was taken? Like, how many people in total were beamed from the ship?
You're not sure. There were 3 missing that Nat would have known from her readouts. However, identifying this Catherine Ross, she was not one of the crew members that was indicated, so the numbers are unreliable at best. You all also hear boots coming towards your position.
We have to destroy this thing.
Amat will hand their rifle to T.
And she sort of takes it and quickly aims it down the hall and waits.
I can't do both.
T, did they do anything to you? Are you all right?
I'm good. It's she's not okay though. We need to get her back.
Then
now.
You should beam back immediately.
Well, I can't leave you here.
Takora?
Yes, yes, Lieutenant.
I would recommend ordering the doctor to leave.
Doctor, you are sorely needed back on the Reliant. I suggest you head there immediately.
And her head sort of snaps over towards Nat, and it's not... She doesn't feel anger, it's guilt. It's almost like... Fine. And shoves the gun into Nat's hand.
2 guns.
Yep.
This is the plan all along.
Yeah. Pass it here. I need to get working on it straight away.
Okay, she's a little sticky.
Doctor.
I know. Yes.
And Takora just sort of like looks around and like she has a look on her face that suggests that she can't believe that she's speaking. And she sort of steps aside so that you can now better, more fully see this assimilated Vulcan that she was standing in front of.
What is this?
Do you know of any way of reversing the process when it is this advanced?
If I can scan, just to see how far gone and if there is an option.
Yeah, and I'll give this to you free of charge since you have your tricorder on you. This is absolutely an assimilated Vulcan. Physiology matches up, as do the artificial parts. And because you were all privy to the medical information that was given with the reversal of Locutus to the gentleman known as Jean-Luc Picard, it is possible. The implants can be removed. It is a difficult process. You would know that the injections, the tubules, the nanotubules, are actually more difficult to remove long term than just this kind of piecemeal thing that had been done. It's an older type of assimilation. It seems they too have evolved.
Nat narrows her eyes at Takora when she asks this.
T looks at, did we want to take something off the ship that was already here?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Well,
am
I mean,
by
this is the
orders.
sphere, right? The sphere's not even supposed to be here. So what does it matter if we put anything or take anything off it? We're already here, right?
I understand I am bound by orders, but I'm just offering my advice. I can do something about this. It'll take time, but I can do it. I know I can. But please decide quickly, as she's sort of looking down the corridor.
I want to plant myself in the corridor real quick, just to keep an eye out, by the way.
Sounds good.
The temporal prime directive. Cannot change anything. Cannot take anything. We cannot.
Takora now. It's not just this person's life on the line, but this one, and she sort of nudges to the ensign who she's holding.
We need to leave the sphere and have it destroyed.
Take nothing from it?
Take nothing.
As you command. And T will make contact and beam out if she can.
You get a hold of Willow, and there is a crackle of subspace interference. We're suffering power fluctuations over here. I can take one of you at a time.
Then you take Willow and send her straight to medbay.
Catherine, the ensign in your yeah. A moment later, you see a beam hit, and it's one of those transporters that almost looks like a long-range beam. It takes a while to grab the form, but the form does go away. And a good 30 seconds later, your communicator pips up, and you hear Willow. I got her. She's in medbay. We have a containment field. I saw it in the filter.
Get working on it straight away. Every second counts.
The doctor's on it.
Good.
D, you're next.
Yeah. And she will see if she can.
You do, and Willow says, I've got you. And you all see the slow beam out as T leaves. And T, we're going to stick with you as you beam back. Just as you beam back, you see that the Reliant is dark, and you see sputters and sparks kind of flying from in and around the area. And the transporter pads themselves are kind of pulsing with a dull glow. Willow, in addition to the blood over her left eyebrow, she has a almost like a seared area where some of her hair is burned away on the right, and you can see an exploded panel just along the wall on her right. And she looks at you as soon as you materialize. It's not going real well.
Are you stable? She sort of looks over her really quickly, trying to analyze everything.
Willow's tough. She's all right, but she's hurt. She touches her. Who's next? And you all hear back on the sphere.
Amat.
What?
Get back to your post. Good work.
At this moment, the first Borg rounds the corner and another Borg appears to lean out of one of the modules beside the Vulcan that's been assimilated, as they have identified transport patterns from their ship, Reliant.
Uh-oh. Oh, time to battle hug.
Go, Amat.
But there's only 2 of you, and there's like a whole bunch of... Fine, I do it.
I assume they're getting like slowly transported out.
Ridiculous. This is
Did you guys-
ridiculous. I never get to
you
do
guys-
anything.
I said Amat.
Okay. Oh, take a mod. Okay.
Yeah.
So as the process begins back on the Reliant, there would be a sputter and some sparks. I need T. You need to assist here, as this is a power regulation move, and I actually burned something to use this. I need you to roll me a control and an engineering to help Willow get Amat out of there.
I'm real mad.
1 success.
I will allow you to burn some momentum if you would like to make that 2 successes.
Yes, then I will. If that's what it takes, I'll burn a momentum.
Okay. So as you burn the momentum and the order has gone through, Amat, in your head, you will hear, "This is going to be rough."
I don't like this. We never get to do anything.
Well, just bear down. This probably won't feel very good. As the beam takes you and begins to transport back on the ship, as you're standing there, T, and Willow starts to do it, you see her say, "I said one at a time," and her fingers start flying over the console. And you see, as she's doing it, you see her, as you're watching and you rolled your engineering to help, you see that she is holding Amat's pattern in the buffer, and through the soot and through the blood, you see the perspiration break out as she's beginning to move, and I'm losing her. And you see the readout and the pattern of the outline of the humanoid kind of form that reforms on the transporter controls. You see her stop, and the buffer splits, and you see 2 forms appear on the pad, and 2 splashes of light begin to coalesce on the transporter pads inside the Reliant. And she is sweating as she is moving and trying to, "You need to help me. I'm going to lose them."
And she, like, T just throws herself.
Please don't beam me out into space.
I'm going to need you to roll another one of those control. I will take a daring too, because this is a stress situation. So control or daring, and it's going to be engineering here. I will also allow you to use a medicine, but it's going to need to be 3 successes or higher, because this is not necessarily a medical application, but you can help with resequencing. As we cut back onto the Borg sphere, as we now have Nat and Takora by themselves. Amat's gone. And the Borg are
Descending.
getting...
Yep. When Nat needs to, she'll start firing.
Okay. There is for purposes of theater of the mind, there is a very long stretch of hallway that, like we said, it's up to code. It has the railing. It's got the grating. From the far end where Nat and Amat came from, there is a cluster of drones coming. From the plugins in the little hive, sub-hive that the assimilated Vulcan's in, they're pulling free. So for the 2 of you to get the best kind of situation, moving to the middle of this long hallway bridge thing, would be the best.
Nice. Let's do it. Love it. I'm doing it. Yep. It's like I'm having a premonition.
Cora kind of isn't moving.
Then I guess Takora gonna get dragged if Ellie's okay with it, not if Ellie's not okay with it.
Oh yeah, Ellie's okay with it.
Oh
Takora
yeah,
will be.
cool. Yeah, I'm gonna pull you then.
Takora fights back a little.
Cool.
Yes, you can use your focus.
Dragging Vulcans.
Yeah.
No. I'm not. I was talking to. I had a whisper, and I just decided not to answer typing. So, if you all here's the option, Nat. If Takora's going to fight you, you have 2 of these drones that have unplugged. I will allow you to. You can re-roll that too if you
Thank
want.
you.
If you.
Yeah.
Nat, you know the situation here.
Yep.
Even with the modulating phasers, you've probably got 2 or 3 shots before they just take out that EM bandwidth that you were. Wow! Yes! Holy shit! Okay. Okay, so you can take out the ones that have just unplugged. It sounds like more are coming, but tactically, it's whether you want to make a stand on the bridge or in this kind of there's a lot of ways you can make it into this little node. It's not as defensible as the bridge.
Yeah. No, we should go to the
Up to
bridge. There's no way that Nat's not getting out of here last. So she's gonna tap her badge. Takora goes next.
Belay that order.
Willow does not answer you.
Yeah.
I will allow T to answer though.
Yeah, you can hear her say, sorry, repeat, what was the order?
Takora's next.
Belay that order.
She's compromised.
I am your.
You're compromised?
I am your commanding officer here, Lieutenant. You
Nat?
are next.
Nat, how's she feeling?
She's not fit to make this call. Her emotions are all over the place. Get her out.
Decorio coming out.
Belay that order.
Sorry, bit more urgent this end, and I'm gonna beam her out.
Doesn't
Willow
feel very
said-
good, does it?
Willow says, I can't beam anybody out, as she's working with the 2 compromised, she's in the middle of something and there's not enough power. Back to the sphere. Acting first officer. Security officer. Who wins this one? Where do you make your stand? The Borg aren't going to wait anymore.
Takora looks at Nat. Takora looks back at the Vulcan. And nods to Nat, like, okay. You win this one.
After you.
Okay. Takora doesn't say anything, but she goes.
Okay.
And the, emotional waves coming off, is just pure and utter heartbreak.
Back on the Reliant, you would see Willow with that incredible role that T does. Narratively, we're going to say this. Your presence and your manipulation of the resequencing reminds Willow of the emergency protocols of the direct beam out to sickbay and how it is in place for emergencies like these. And you see that the 2 patterns disappear and Willow slumps against the control panel. They're in sickbay. I got him.
And T puts almost like an arm around her shoulder and really she's good. You report there as soon as you can.
Who's next? And she looks at T because she wasn't paying attention at all to any of this that was going on.
You're bringing Takora in.
Commander, energize. And Nat, you would see Takora begin to dematerialize. And then you are alone on the Borg vessel. Where are you standing?
On the bridge.
So as you stand, you see 3 more of them come in. I'm assuming you can narrate this however you'd like. You have 3 shots with both of your phaser rifles. They're dropping as ever you describe, but as you turn back in the direction that you came from, you see a Vulcan assimilated, pull free, and begin to walk towards your position. It is the one that Takora seemed to be concerned about.
Yeah, Nat's going to obviously shoot at the first ones coming to back them up. And probably the best thing to do is avoidance. So what does this bridge look like? Is it graded? Does it have a railing?
It does. It has a railing. It's up to code. It's got grading underneath it. It drops, you could say, probably about 25, 30 feet at the point that you're standing from. So there is space beneath it. You don't have to worry about anybody climbing over the side or kind of a peeking area. It's a good tactical spot.
Yeah. Once the phasers are no longer useful, Nat's going to, assuming that she's got to buy herself time, is going to go underneath the bridge. Like, she's not really interested in engaging if she doesn't have to. So, like, gymnast, swing off the side, go under, and hang for a bit.
Roll me a fitness and security as the dopest of moves as you flip up and are hanging from the grating as the Borg come up, and through the lattice work of the grating, you see the Vulcan face look down as it's trying to find where you are, and an eye very similar to Takora's looks at you.
Cool. I'll use, I think we got like 2 or so momentum left. I'm gonna use one of those. Sure. Yeah. 4.
Fantastic. And so you can actually put those 2 momentum back if you would like, as it was just a 2 success to be able to hang there. You hear Willow come through the communication, your communicator. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yep.
You begin to feel yourself grow insubstantial as you are pulled from the area. The last thing that you see is the Vulcan eye looking down at you as you and as you appear, you are met with the same sight that T, Amat, and Takora were greeted with. The Reliant is heavily damaged. Sparks are coming out of panels. There's a lot of blasting around different sub-relays. But you appear, and Takora has just materialized a few moments before. It seems as if the rebuffering sequence is best whenever Willow had full control. So you kind of both materialize roughly at the same time, though some time has elapsed for Takora. As you are on here, we're going to cut to the outside as the heavily damaged Borg sphere and the damaged Reliant face one another. And as the Borg turns to continue its assault on the Reliant, it is the sundered vessel, the USS Scandalon, that fires every last ounce of its phaser energy, every photon in its arsenal. And with a 20 in damage rolled by the captain, It gets close enough to the sphere, launches its weaponry, and as the damaged area opens up before it, Scandalon goes and rams the sphere until both explode in a brilliant dazzle and sparkle of victory. And as the Scandalon sacrifice means the survival of the Reliant, we cut back inside. As Amat, you materialize in sickbay. You see the woman that was being carried by the doctor, and you feel a hand on your shoulder.
I'm gonna look. Doctor?
You see a tall, young man of maybe 30, 32, long black hair that touches just to the top of his pectoral area. He is completely naked, as he didn't have anything to wear. The vial in your pocket that was filled with the replicated biomatter needed for this particular sequencing, taken care of. As Khan stands in front of you, now we can truly be friends. And he goes
Yay! I hug back. Yay!
And as the two hug in the med bay, and as the doctor, the hologram, looks on with a raised eyebrow, that is where we will end this session of Perfection Shadow.
Oh, you're sweaty. Oh, wait. Important question.
Yes.
Okay, so on the meter from Yates to how smoochable is Khan?
We did the face casting of Khan already.
Really? Is that him?
That's him, yeah.
Yes! He's like a 15 on that rate. Yes, smoochable.
We'll put pictures up in Discord. We'll do all of our face castings in Discord. But I will hand it back over, unless there's other additional questions. We'll hand it back over to Alice.
Thank you. What a session. This was so good. I just want to quickly say thank you very much to Kentucky Hawker, who came in and gave us just some really awesome roleplay, but also a really epic ending. We're heading over to the Discord now, so come and join us over there. Otherwise, this is one of my favorite games every week. I can't wait to see you all next week. Keep evoking emotions, and we will see you then. Bye.